That looks a lot. You can keep it. It's really.
Is that good? Okay.
We are. I mean, some people that have emailed have asked us for some feedback and stuff on it, but for the most part, it really is for you, so you can keep track.
Let's make sure we're doing this right. Really, what I'm doing is I'm good.
Right. See you later.
I have a 10-4 follow-up with certain people.
That's perfect. And you know what? Getting in the habit of making those notes is so great because teachers, they but they come back to you and they're like, I'm going to talk to you. And you're like, I know. And what's your name?
Before I started, I'm at it.
Most of the night. You know what I'm talking about? Like, just
That's why you're working.
yes,
That's another habit that I have.
you are
And I have a
sorry.
calendar. If I need more information, where do I actually go?
Okay.
Calendar is like, okay, I'm going to October and then a couple months.
Right. Okay. I love your song. Okay. Hi, Frank. How are you? Yeah.
An engineering firm.
She did.
So I have an open fitness fair coming up here at the end of October.
When is your?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Make sure that you have.
I got one. You are what? You are out.
Either or, like you're saying, that would be One place. Are we on?
So, sister, how did he, how did it end up? What's the verdict?
One of my family members
I drove by.
Are you sitting over there?
Those
And she's right there.
No, go ahead, man.
You don't have to sit as close to me this time.
Like,
What's up?
some people, you know, John,
Yeah.
what is fishing? That's what I told him.
Everybody's body's different.
Alright, so like I recoup, I'm recoup now.
Can you? I think they have to because they're the admins. They're the only ones that can post. So that kind of where they put all the mixers and things like that. Because I was trying to look because I had lists so I could tell people.
Yeah.
But I was like, we'll have some this weekend, and then at the end of the middle.
So guys,
I may need to get a tutorial on how to work Facebook because I also do not know what to
I
do.
don't think I get I just know
I thought I accepted you as a friend, didn't I?
I never even asked you.
Oh, you have. I've received 4 friend requests from you, Jamal.
So you had to hijack me to get me for the first time.
Let me find you.
Stacey Ray, what's up, man?
Yeah, I just sent it to you.
Yeah, so the Max wants to play with everything.
I just
Find
sent
me.
it. Yeah, I just sent it to you.
He wants to play executive right here.
No nap in the afternoon?
I put him down. The other day, I'm being reminded because I can't. That was just one of those things you really last night. So I think now was the thunder started today. He was calling and he was like, my legs.
You don't know.
Yeah, he's probably tired. Did you get it?
I accepted it.
It's so worth it, isn't it? It's so worth it. Presentation. Next slide.
I would think so. I haven't heard. I've talked to him today. One thing they realized after last week was that we have some newer faces in the room and some people who haven't met each other before. So afterwards, we kind of were like, maybe we should have gone around the room and introduced each other. You know, so just your name. Maybe it does not have to be Advocare related. Something about you or your family or just real quick. So I guess we can start. I'm Megan. In case you don't know, there's some faces I have not met. This is Max. And
Oh, Jason. Hi, guys. I think I've met everybody so far. Yeah. So,
Get some good.
I'm David. I belong to Jessica.
And we have 2 little ones, I think a week younger than us.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm Rudy. I have a 3-year-old and one on the way.
Yeah.
Hey, I did not know that.
Hi.
Hey.
Could you run here?
Oh.
We're live.
Oh, I thought we went back there.
That doesn't-
I'm Jermaine. I have 3 kids. So.
I'm Kristen, and I have 2 little boys, 8 and 4.
I'm Christine. I have 2 little girls, 5 and 4. Does not have to be kid related. There you go. That's perfect.
My name is Michelle, and I have a 3-year-old and closing on my first house on Tuesday.
Yeah. I'm Nana.
I have a 3-year-old in 2nd.
Yeah.
Oh, he's copying.
Yeah.
My name is Edie. That's huge. I love that. So we haven't used your YouTube in 3 months.
Oh, okay.
I'm Sue. I'm Amanda's mother-in-law, and I have 12 grandchildren.
And they both just went all in advisor.
Boom!
I'm Kayla. I have no baby. But I want 4, and I want them to look like my husband. I'll pass it to you, Stacy.
She already introduced me. I'm Stacy. I have a 19-month little monster, an 8-year-old adopted boy, and 2 much older kids. And today was my first day of being a stay-at-home dad, so.
It's a different world, huh?
It is.
Hello, my name is Frank, and we have Serena. We have 3 kids together, and I'm just finishing a father-taught swim class with my 2-year-old son.
Oh, wow.
He swims better than me already.
Like I said, I'm Serena. We've been married 15 years. And from that 2-year-old, we have a 14-year-old and a 20-year-old. Kind of all over the
Change it up a little bit. I'm Shay. I have 4. I have a 2-legged that's 8 years old and 3 Great Danes. Keep me on my toes. You have 3 Great Danes.
I love your pictures and stuff. They look so sweet.
They're fun.
I'm Emily. I have 2 kids. I have a little boy that'll be 8 tomorrow, and a little girl that just turned 6. No, I'm Jean. You guys are all looking so close. But I have 2 children. My youngest is the same as just Kayla. They grew up together playing softball. But I do have 2 chickens.
Chickens? All right.
Kittens. Like chickens? Chickens. Eggs.
We have a dozen.
Eggs.
Sold out.
I'm Sharon. I just got married to Matt this summer. And I have 20 kids at preschool.
God bless you.
I'm Matt, and Sharon said we're recently married. No kids, but we do have a dog. Dog that Sharon would be
Get a cute puppy.
Say hi.
And do we have the backwards? Yes. Do you guys, Mom, when you get a second, come and introduce yourself and tell us one fun fact about you, too. Hi. There's a lot of fun facts about them, so it'll be fun to see what they choose. Here, do you want this one also? You can take this at least until.
Well, we got 2 over here, so.
There's 2 over there.
So maybe
Do you want this one just until Rob comes?
Yeah. And then we'll make it work. One more gets here.
All right.
We're ready to get started?
Do you want to share real fast?
Oh, yeah.
Introduce yourself and one fun fact about you.
Oh gosh. Okay, so my name is Mary Franklin. Fun fact about me. I'm what?
Yeah, you can. Okay, do you want me to share? So my parents have been married for 30 years. And now that they are empty nesters, they're bad to the bones. They both own motorcycles and go on incredible trips. I thought we were going to have to come rescue them this weekend, but okay.
Oh gosh.
Down the backwoods, she's surviving, huh?
Yes. We are. Yes.
You didn't do any damage.
Wonderful. Well, everybody back at home, I hope that you heard that and got to know some of your teammates a little bit better. I know that we always like to get to know our team on a different level other than just what we do here in Adventure. So thank you guys so much for sharing, and we're excited. Last week I was a little long-winded, so we are going to try our best to really stay on a strict schedule. I told these 2, I was like, you might want to get me a muzzle because once I get going, they start to get me to stop. But so we're going to pick up a little bit from what we didn't catch on last training, and hopefully we'll breeze through this and get you guys trained up, give you a lot of exciting information. So, first and foremost, we want to talk about getting to advisor, not only for you and your personal business, but in order for you to build an AdvoCare business, recognize that you're going to need at least one advisor on your team. So when we are sharing advice with people, we always, from a leadership standpoint, we want to make sure that we're communicating advisor to our frontline distributors or to those people who are interested in building a business. But more importantly, we want to make sure that we have done it in a way that we can now teach those brand new advisors, in your guys' case, the ability to go out and now train somebody else and teach somebody else the importance of getting to advisor. So these are just, if you can see at home, you guys should have your slides. If not, they are in the Silver School group. So go ahead and go in there and download them. But these are some really great words that you as a leader can be sharing and teaching to your team, especially those that are working towards getting to advisor.
Okay. So, you know, and I think one of the key things too about advisor is just like your 30-second story or your 2-minute story is important, so is your advisor story. So when you're talking to somebody and you're talking to them about the business and you're telling them, okay, you got to get to advisor, what's the first question they're going to ask?
How'd you do it?
How'd you do it? And then that's where it's very important that you can, that speed attracts. Oh, we used to have, never mind. But yeah, speed attracts. So getting there fast is going to be important. So when somebody says, well, how did you get there? You could say, well, I saw a business opportunity and I invested. I went all in and was able to get rid of that product pretty quickly. Or you can say, hey, we got there as fast as we could. I know for Megan and I, we got there in 3 weeks. I say we, like I did something. She got there in 3 weeks because I didn't do much. But, and then I don't know how you guys got there pretty quick too, right?
Yeah, we did it in just over 2 weeks. But I'm competitive. So when Megan's like, we did it in about 2.5, 3 weeks. And I told Rob, we are going to do it in 2 weeks because I'm competitive. But just like Jason said, this is a business of duplication. It's a monkey see, monkey do business. Everything that you do, you have to assume that your team's going to do it the exact same way. So it's how you're sharing advisor. It's whether you're employing your sponsor or not, whether you're leading with strength with the income opportunity. Know that whatever you are doing really is going to get passed down to those people that you're sharing an AdvoCare with. So like Jason said, speed really attracts, because if you're talking to somebody who has a big need for this income opportunity and they see AdvoCare being a solution, and you're sharing advisor with them, and your answer is, well, I him-hawed around, it took me 2.5 years to get to advisor, they may probably think AdvoCare's not the solution for me because I need something fast. I don't have 2.5 years to wait to maximize the compensation plan. So recognize that this business is going to be based on duplication, monkey see, monkey do. How you get to advisor is traditionally how your team's going to get to advisor. So if you were somebody, though, that took a while, don't worry. You're going to just need to focus a little bit more on leading with strength with the advisor. And more importantly, having a lot of other great stories that you can share. But, you know, where I didn't get there very fast, but my friend Amanda, she got there right away. She was able to invest, and we're going to build their story as their journey continues. But we have a lot of other great people, or not great people, everybody in AdvoCare is great, but other great stories of people that got to advisor and did it really fast too, that are having tremendous success that you can share with other people.
Yes, knowing stories is key. So even if your story may not be the strongest, maybe you don't feel like it's the strongest, I mean, stories are always going to be key. So you have my story now, we got there in 3 weeks. You have Kayla's story, they got there in 2.5 weeks. We got our friend Amanda and her mother-in-law Sue. Boom, investment right there, just like that. I know Stacey Ray invested. So you have stories now that you can go and just mention to them, because they don't know if you just met Sue this week. They don't know if you just met Amanda, you know, but what's important is that you're sharing that story and that they get it.
What you guys figured out, we both didn't have to invest that much money, which was nice.
Right.
And that's what Megan taught us.
Yeah.
So I was willing to invest the $3,000 because I wanted to do this. So when she wanted to do it too, she was willing to do part of it, but she did the $500.
Yeah.
So we kind of flopped it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So she invested the $500, I invested the $3,000.
Yes.
And then the discount on it came off of it.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I think had I known that in the very beginning, I could have brought more people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And when we go over the compensation plan, because we're going to dive into the compensation plan, because it's very important that we all understand how we get paid and exactly how that works. So when we get into that, we're going to touch more on like 500 in personal volume and the 2100 investment, so that we can be all on the same page. But you're exactly right. Like, knowing how we get paid is so important, because people are going to ask, and the compensation plan is really key.
I mean, that just made it easier for her and I both to go.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Because I was willing to invest a big portion of it, and then she was like, okay,
Let's
I
do
can
this.
do 500.
Yeah.
I can do that 100. You know?
Yeah.
So
So that's an even better story, and I just like Jason, we will kind of draw that out too, especially because I'm a visual person, so I do know that there is works for Jay Money to bring out a big whiteboard for us
Yes.
later on down the line in Silver School. But recognizing too that in Advocare, you can really kill two birds with one stone, and that's kind of exactly what happens. So if you're sharing Advocare with somebody and you are painting a vision and somebody's really excited and they said, you know what, I have a friend that I want to build this business with that I bet will see the same value that I see in Advocare, make sure that you get in touch with your leadership so that we can explain that to you. We will definitely get to that point in Silver School so that you can leave here feeling equipped, knowing that, hey, we can do this all together with another person. But yeah, that is such a great point. And knowing that you can bring in two people with one investment is possible, plus $500.
Awesome.
Cool. So one of the things that we definitely want to talk on that a lot of people don't understand, so we really want to make it kind of black and white today. If you enroll to be a distributor in Advocare, recognize that you can earn income. You can earn income two ways. That's retail profit and wholesale earnings. But it's really important when you're sharing Advocare with somebody that you let them know that you're going to unlock additional ways by being an advisor. Now, the 80% of all income that's earned in Advocare, so 80%, a majority, well past majority, is earned through incentives and overrides. So when I'm sharing that with people, I say, when I learned this myself, that the highest amount of income that's being paid out to distributor advisors is in incentives or not incentives, overrides and leadership bonuses. I knew that I needed to start earning income that way. That just made most sense. Why would you not want to earn income 80% of what's being paid out to advisors? So that's a really great term to let people know, a great stat, if you will, that, hey, a majority of the income that's being paid out to distributors is in the form of overrides and leadership bonuses, which is a reason why you want to get to advisor, because you can only earn override and leadership as an advisor in Advocare. So we like to let people know that. And then, of course, the incentives. Those are incredible. The $500 rookie bonus, which I know that we have some people in the room that are working towards earning that rookie bonus. Again, only eligible to advisors. So you really want to make sure that you're maximizing the compensation plan.
Yes, and I would say, like, along the lines, just from our personal standpoint, retail profits and wholesale earnings, they're great, but this is where, like, the residual income is from, the overrides. That is when money is working for you, when you are able to just go out there and share, you know, and have what we like to call relaxed intensity, when we can go out there and share, but we know in the back of our mind, the overrides, they're going to be there. The overrides is a great way to really get a picture of what you're doing in the business. And so that's a key one. And like I said, we'll dive into the compensation plan and really explain what an override is and how you exactly you earn that. But right now, just know for your own sake, when you're talking to somebody, these two are really key.
And you'll explain what each of those are.
Yes,
later on. Okay,
we will.
sorry.
And I mean, just off the top, I mean, just since we're here, retail profits obviously is when you sell something, you get that 20% or that 40% wherever you're at. The wholesale earnings, that is when somebody underneath you who's enrolled sells something, and then you see the difference between their discount and your discount. So if they come in at 20 and you're at a 40%, you see that 20% difference. You know, and a great way to look at it is if you're not an advisor and you have somebody underneath you, that wholesale earning will go to the next advisor. So if somebody comes in underneath you at 20 and you're at 20, that next 20% will go to the next advisor. So that's money that's going up, right? Because the money goes up. It all goes up. And then incentives, that's your trips, rookie bonus. That's pretty much it for incentives. And then overrides is essentially a royalty that is paid to you when you have an advisor underneath you and they are working the business. And like I said, we'll go into that a little bit more in detail. And then the leadership bonus is really cool. When you become a leader in Advocare, so once you get your silver pin or above, Advocare recognizes you as a leader and they say, hey, you're helping somebody build their team, we're going to give you a bonus. And that is based off percentages. And again, we'll go over all of that and get more specific, but just so you know, those are that's the key. So does that help?
That income chart that says like +3 and then it goes down 0.25 and you get diamond and all that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I can remember plain as day a conversation that Rob and I one time had with Ron Reynolds, and we were still very new in the business. We didn't know very much, and he told me, he said, Kayla, you really need to take an interest in interest. He said, you're either paying interest on a credit card, a mortgage, any kind of debt that you have, or you're earning interest. He said in Advocare, you can earn interest. That's when you fall asleep at night and you wake up and you realize my money just worked for me and I earned income while I was sleeping. That is basically your override and your leadership bonus. So if there's anybody in here that's very business minded or business wired like I am, you get really excited about being able to fall asleep at night knowing your money's working for you while you're sleeping. And then the business entry levels, this again is just really important for you guys to visually understand. We see this happen a lot. If you have, I'm going to kind of point down here at this relationship where you can have somebody that comes in, and we see this a lot, even if somebody is just a discount member. Know that if they place an order of at least $500 retail, so before a discount is being taken into account, it's going to automatically bump them up to our next discount percentage, which is 25% in Advocare. We see all the time orders of $474 going through or $450, and we just cringe because we know that maybe had that distributor better communicated, to their customer that, hey, if you would have just added on a canister of Spark, you would have bumped yourself up into the next discount level. So if you are sitting down and you're having that relationship with maybe somebody who just wants to be a wholesale customer, make sure that you're letting them know, oh, you're interested in buying 2 challenges, one for you, maybe one for your husband or whatever the case may be. Make sure that you let them know that in Advocare, you're not just stuck at a 20% discount, that there's an opportunity to get a 25% discount, a 30% discount, and even as high as a 40% discount. We also like to show this slide because we come into contact with a lot of people who say, Kayla, I want to do the investment, but I cannot afford it. So then we can kind of help them break it down into a step that makes it a little bit easier, because we would encourage them, of course, to get started on a product. And typically people have at least one friend that they can get started with instead of the 10 or the 12 that you would need to do an advisor order. They have at least one friend. So then we can encourage them to come in at that $500 level, get the next discount percentage, and then boom, they're automatically in qualification for advisor. They've met that first minimum that we have to advisor. Does that make sense? So make sure that you're communicating that. And also, especially if you have somebody that is just a wholesale customer that really doesn't see the business, doesn't have a desire for the business, if you can at least get them in qualification, help them get into qualification for advisor, what you've done is you've now opened up a door that maybe they didn't see before. Because if you're calling people that are in qualification for advisor and letting them know the benefits of getting to advisor, they may see more value now that, oh, I'm already in qualification. I already met the first minimum. I didn't do anything. So make sure that you're doing that part as well.
I think that's key. I mean, just basically knowing that you've got steps and people have options, which I think is awesome, which I think is great too. That's one of the things that when I came in, and I realized that it wasn't a one-size-fits-all, that I could talk to my friends and say, hey, well, how fast do you want to go? You want to go this fast, or do you want to go super fast, right? So you just kind of let them, and then it gives them that option where they don't feel that pressure that they have to do one way or the other, that they have those options. So I would go when you have a chance to really look at the slides and understand these different options. That's about what I would say.
Yep. And then entering as an advisor. So make sure that you guys are communicating the advisor investment. There have been numerous times that I've gotten on a 3-way phone call explaining advisor to somebody, and I've mentioned the investment, and they were surprised to hear that. I know we kind of talked about it last class, don't prejudge somebody. Don't assume
that the investment is not beneficial to them. Make sure that you are always communicating both ways that you can get to advisor. In fact, there was one time I did a call and I got off the phone and I got back on the phone with the distributor and we're just kind of talking, following up, what do you think about the call? And she goes, oh my gosh, I never even thought about communicating the advisor investment. She said, I'm so glad that you did that because the person I was talking to on the phone, all she really wanted was just products at a discount. She goes, I'm so glad, and that lady ended up placing the advisor order because she just saw the value in 40% on 40% discount. You know, it's kind of like Kohl's. I wish they would send me a 40% coupon for the rest of my life. That would be fantastic. And that's kind of the value that this particular lady saw. So make sure that you are communicating the advisor investment. Now, more importantly, when you're kind of explaining the investment, make sure that you don't tell somebody it's only $2,100. Because yes, the products only are going to cost you $2,100, but it's also going to cost you to ship the products, which is always $75 for an advisor order. It's flat FedEx, so if they want to know, $75 for shipping. But then there's also going to be tax. So don't tell somebody it's only going to be $2,100 because they're going to go and check out and it's going to be closer to $2,400.
Yeah.
So let them know that yes, it's $2,100, but you need to factor in shipping and tax. The same is true with our distributor kits. Yes, it's $79 to enroll, but because you're getting sent product and a cute welcome gift, you're going to pay shipping and then you're going to get taxed on the products. So make sure that you are explaining that. And did you want to kind of talk about the advisor order?
Yeah, so when you place the advisor order, like Amanda and Sue found out, is that you have the option to really choose what you want, you know, or that person has an option. So what I always tell somebody, and I remember when Stacy did the investment, we told them, go through and try to find the things that you are interested in using. And then we told them to put those in the basket. And then from there, then we went and we talked a little bit about who do they think is interested in doing the 24-day challenge. How many, do they know people who are interested in Performance Elite? So it really depends on, so when you structure the order, it really depends on who you have in mind that might be interested in using our products or whatever it may be. And so when you go to actually place the order, it can vary. I know up here, it just kind of says, think of 15 people in the 24-day challenge, but it doesn't have to be just 24-day challenges. It can be pretty much anything that you're interested in. I also think, and this is very important, to let people know that when they do that initial investment, it's 30% off their order, not the full 40. That comes after they're the advisor. So that one's key to let people know.
Yep, definitely. Just a few things too to know when you're sharing that with people. Let them know that this is basically a risk-free investment. So two things can happen. All of our products are consumable, so you will either A, hopefully use them yourself, or B, you'll share them with others. But more importantly, there is that 12-month satisfaction guarantee. So we've even had conversations where people are like, well, I'm not sure, what if that product sits at my house? And I always say, AppleCare does not want their product sitting in your garage. They do not want it sitting on a shelf in your basement. They really want this product to be shared and to get into people's bellies. And because of that, they have a 12-month satisfaction guarantee. Meaning that if you foresee these products sitting in the shelf, down in your basement or in your garage, AppleCare asks you to please send that product back to them and get your money back. So it really is a risk-free investment. We see one of two things happening. You go to work and you sell and you share that product and you help a lot of people reach their goals. Or B, you decide AppleCare is not for you and you send all of your product back. I've never seen anybody who's consistently working the business, building a business, getting people to events, getting people through the success system that did not sell all their advisor order. And the ones that didn't, they send it all back and then they're no longer on our reports. But yeah. I mean, that rarely, if ever, happens. So I think that's pretty much.
Yes, and I think also we're all here because we're business minded. So when you think about the investment, you're thinking as a business. So you are essentially getting what you could consider inventory to work your business. But also what I like this right here, inventory for new stories. Like that's awesome, because once you get somebody on the 24-day challenge, that's an opportunity for you to learn a new story, to build a new relationship. And then when you get somebody that you talk to new and they have, similar background or whatever, you can then share with them that story, right? Because obviously that's what we want. facts tell, stories sell. So you want those stories.
Bingo. So do we all understand advisor? Are you guys comfortable too with sharing advisor? Because that's really what's key. We always say that he who has the most advisors has the best business. So keep in mind that you're going to need advisors, not only so you can better help them get paid, but so in return that you can build a successful business in Africa. So you want to be very good at explaining advisor.
Did you think of anybody's name? Anybody's name popped in while we were talking? Write their name down. Their next advisor, write their name down.
Yep.
Do it.
So do you want to expand on this slide?
Sure. So I think, actually, I should probably get the whiteboard so we can explain a little bit. So let me get a whiteboard. Hold on. No, it's not a big one.
Oh.
It's not coming down, right? We need to get one of those really big ones on wheels so we can just roll it in.
Not in our house.
Go old school with the chalkboard.
Forget that we have a.
All right. So,
Do you want me to flip?
no, I'll draw on it here. If you want to just kind of, yeah. Oh,
So
I got it.
you're going to break down how to get to the silver pin, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is so important. We have so many people that tell us, Kayla, I want to be silver by December. And the important thing to know is, A, that is completely doable, but we first have to understand what it's going to take. What does a silver organization look like? How do you know when you've reached silver? I've had some people ask me, so did I do it? How do I know if I've been at silver yet? So that's going to be the point of what J Money's drawn out here, is to just help you understand what it looks like to be a silver organization. It's really easy to kind of talk about what the pin represents and what a great honor it is to wear a silver leadership pin, but I think it's always very important to first understand, how do I get there? What do I need to do? And then for those people that have set that goal that I'm going to be a silver distributor by January 1st, they're going to have something visually to look at to say, hey, this is what's going to match my goal. Kind of like we talk about putting a 90-day plan into place. This is going to be kind of like your silver pin plan and what you need to do to reach the silver leadership and the silver leadership level in Advocare. And what I love about silver is if you can build a silver organization, know that you can build a ruby organization. And if you can build a ruby organization, you can build to emerald and 9-star emerald, onto diamond, to platinum, to double diamond. So the first step is understanding silver and go out and help build a lot of other silvers in your organization.
Okay, so here's you, okay, advisor. So in order to get to silver, you're going to need $1,000 in PGB, because that unlocks your entire override opportunity, which we'll get into a little bit more of that later on. What's that? Volume. So volume. Pretty much it's volume. Okay. So what you want to have is you want to have a solid team going. Okay. So right there, this is you up here. I drew out 3 legs. You don't want to bank on silver and only have one person, and that one person be an advisor underneath you. It's just hard to do. So when you're building your silver organization, you can have one person that's an advisor, but if you look, I drew some more. Okay. So what I did was I drew one advisor underneath you and another distributor who's at the 30% level, and then another distributor at the 25%. So that's D25 and D30. So what you want is you want 2 people at least working the business. So you can have more distributors, but if you focus on 3 people who want the business, that's why I drew up 3. Because you can have more, but you want to have 3 that are business minded. And you want to have 2 of them that are either at advisor level or working the advisor level. And then you have somebody who is an advisor. And if you notice, I drew 3 other legs underneath that person that's an advisor. Because again, you want to work in 3s. You can have more, but you want to find 3 people who are business minded. Because the rule of thumb is, for every 1 advisor that you have that is contributing or that is a star leg, you want to have 2 others that are contributing, if that makes sense. You guys following along? So we got 1 advisor. We got 2 other people who are working there are business minded that are working towards it. So hopefully the goal is to eventually get these 2 to advisor as well. But if you're going to get to silver, you want to have at least 1 advisor underneath you with them working the Advocare business. Does that make sense? Does that help visually to see what's going on? Again, I just always say you want to work in threes. So if you can think of 3 people that are business minded, that's kind of what you want to do.
Bingo. So a silver organization total between all of your frontline advisors and then any advisors that are then enrolled under this advisor, 3 levels deep. So meaning this level right here, this is all level 1. We refer to that as frontline. They are immediately directly below you. They're your frontline in building an Advocare business. And then J Money drew some more people, these other circles. That's considered second level. So you guys have maybe heard that. And then let's say, for instance, these distributors have since enrolled other distributors. Now we have 3 levels deep. 3 is really the key. in
Yeah, 3
Advocare.
really is the key.
So know that overrides, how overrides are paid out, overrides are only earned when you have another advisor enrolled underneath you. And the reason for that is you guys are both at a 40% discount, which means there's no difference between your discount and an advisor's discount, which means you didn't earn a wholesale commission on them because you're both at 40. So now you're earning something called an override. Now the silver leadership level, you have to have $100 in override. And we will definitely speak probably more on how overrides are calculated in another class. But just know that first, before you can get to silver, you need an advisor on your team to earn overrides. And then once you've reached $100 in overrides, you will be a silver leader in Advocare. So I know we kind of have some blank stares.
I was just gonna say,
Yep.
so the first one, and they have to be 2 consecutive pay periods. The first one you qualify, the second one you pin, and that goes for every pin level up to diamond where you have to do it 3. So 2 pay periods in a row. Now, say you hit it those 2 pay periods in a row and you're like, whew, I'm at silver, I don't have to do it anymore. You don't keep getting paid silver unless you still keep working silver. So does that make sense? So some people are like, well, I earned my silver pin, but why am I not getting the leadership anymore? Well, it doesn't work like that. So
Yeah.
you have to keep continuing to grow.
It's not a fat cat business, right? You don't get there and then just kick back. Fat cat, right? You got to keep working.
What's
You're
that?
still going. So in order to earn overrides, you need to have $1,000 in personal or group volume.
Just
Total. So it could be like you can
Per pay
get it, or your team can earn it. That's why it's so important that you would have one advisor and then a couple people working there, because until they are an advisor, their volume helps you. So some of you may be wondering, well, how do you guys get your $1,000 in volume? Well, one of the ways we do that is we keep talking to people and we keep sharing with them the different discounts, and we keep working with them to get that bigger discount, because until they're an advisor, their group volume or their personal volume helps our total PGB. Because the goal is to get to 1,000, because that once you get to 1,000, you earn your maximum override.
And this is going to make so much more sense as you guys start to enroll distributors. Advocare really is an earn while you learn business. I can tell you that overrides did not make sense to me until I earned a penny in override and I could physically see it. And the same is kind of true with what he's talking about by having those other distributors. As you guys start to enroll distributors and you can physically see how it's working on your reports, it'll all kind of click. It's kind of like we're up here teaching you guys French for the very first day. So no, it's going to get a little bit easier as you start to work and build your business, and as you start to look at your override report, and then we can really break it down in real life examples. And you're like, oh, okay, I get it. It makes a little bit more sense. So we're going to definitely try our best to make real life scenarios too for the next class, just to make it a little bit easier. But no, workwithchampions.com. They have a link on there for explaining all 5 ways that we get paid, explaining how to get to silver too. They're longer videos, so I wish we could sit here and spend a whole 20 minutes just on this, but Danny McDaniel has already for us. So if you are just dying to know how to do it when you leave here tonight, go to workwithchampions.com, and then up in like the upper right, or no, not Work with Champions. Sorry, I know some of you guys probably wrote that down. Champion Makers Training. ChampionMakersTraining.com.
Work with Champions is a great one to send somebody who's interested in, so don't like cross that one out, keep that one. Work with Champions is a great one. Like if you have somebody who says, hey, I want to know more, but I can't get on the phone right now, say, hey, check out this workwithchampions.com. You know, it's a great one. Work with Champions.
And then the one with all the training that you need is ChampionMakersTraining.com. If you can't remember that, AdvocareTraining.com hyperlinks you over there. That's how I always remember how to get there. But so there's lots of great videos all about the compensation plan. So if you are just dying for a
And
little
if you
bit
have
more
questions
info on it.
later on too, and you can stick around for a minute, we can touch on it a little bit later. But we want to get through the mixer and the art of promotion, so we won't spend too much time on the silver pin.
Yes.
We just wanted to make sure you guys understood how you get there and why it's important to have advisors underneath.
Sweet. So the art of promotion, if you get to be really good at one thing in Advocare, it's this right here. And the art of promotion is basically, actually, I think I'm missing the slide.
Or did you forget one?
There are two on this one. So it's gone.
Someone stole it.
Is there
Dang
two
it.
on yours?
I have Spinning Silver, and then it goes to Art of Promotion, Word of Choices, and then Mixer Mania.
Oh, maybe there is only one.
There should be two. Shoot. Okay, well, we're gonna roll with it. Sorry, I just made these today. I know that I had to, but anyway, so basically, art of promotion, what that means is pretty much having an influence over somebody to get them to do something that you want them to do. And if you were to look up the definition to what art of promotion means, it's basically being able to influence somebody so that they can make the decision or so that they can take action in the way that you want them to do. And not that we would ever want you to do this in a way that is deceitful or anything of that sort, but what we're talking about in here is getting people to the next event, the impending event, and that's the slide that we're missing. It's basically talking on that. That's why I know that we have it tonight. So we wanted to give you just some really good word choices on what you can say to help somebody get to that next event. Maybe there's a mixer coming up. Maybe there's an awesome recorded call or something in that capacity that you have a friend that you know really needs to hear that, really needs to be in the room to really see the bigger vision of Advocare. So I put up here some really good word choices. Do you want to expand on these?
Yes. So I actually have a good story that's along the lines right here. So I have a buddy who I've been coaching with for a long time. His name's Sean, and Sean and I have been coaching, and he's tried the Spark. He's liked the Spark. I got him on an MMS pack, which was a huge deal because he tried the 24-day challenge and totally tanked it because he went on vacation. But that's a whole nother story. So I finally got him interested in doing the business. And he said, I want to make some extra money because, I want to do some stuff to my car and this and that. And I said, well, guess what? If you want to make some money, I got just the person to talk to. It's my brother, Joe. He's one of the top distributors in all of Advocare. He was the fastest to ever earn an incentive trip, I think, or one of the fastest to ever earn an incentive trip. If you want to make money, he's the guy you want to talk to. Now, doesn't that make you sound like, oh, man, I want to talk to him?
Remember last week we really talked about hyping up your sponsor and who they're talking to?
And so that's exactly what I did. And I just laid it out for him. I mean, everything I said was true, but I didn't say, well, he's got some good information. Well, he's a really nice guy. I didn't say any of that. That's all fluff. I told him exact facts. I said, hey, you said you want to make money. If you want to make money, if that's what you said you want to do, here's what we do next. I'm going to get you on the phone with my brother, and you know what? We're going to get things going for you. And he did. And he got on the phone, and now he's talking about going advisor, but, we're just yeah, it does. So that's just a great thing that you can share. And that could be the same thing for a mixer. If you're inviting somebody to a mixer. So for instance, I shared this with somebody. I said, you know what? I don't know what you got going on Thursday, but my good friends, Rob and Kayla, they are going to be hosting a mixer. And you know what? They're some of the top distributors in all of Advocare. They are at what's called the diamond level, which basically means they're making great money in this business. And if you want to know about making money, you want to get at their house on Thursday. I didn't say information. I didn't say anything about, come here more, it's really great stuff. No, I gave him exact things that they want to hear. Because if somebody says they want to know more about the business, who else? We got people in the room right now that are making some good money. And so that's what you want to do, is you want to direct them and really hype that up for them. Some things that, you know, obviously if you have somebody on your mind that you want to get to them to a mixer, you can always call them and say, hey, you know what? I've been talking to you about this Advocare stuff, but I'm calling you today for a specific reason. I wanted to invite you to this mixer. It's a nutritional mixer. We're going to hear about how to make money. We're going to hear about these great products that, you know, help me lose weight. And I just think once you get in the room and you see what's going on, you're going to be excited about this, because that's something that you can share as well. You know, I want to show you this business model. When you see it, you will be excited as I am, right? And you want to say those things. You want to say, hey, you're going to be excited, right? It's kind of like prepping them up, kind of hyping them up, letting them know what's going on, okay? And again, we're not trying to, you know, like manipulate anybody. That's not what we're trying to say. Oh, you're going to show up and you're going to make $200, man. It's going to be awesome, right? That's not the way it works. But if they come in and we can explain that to them and they can see exactly what's going on, it can get the wheels turning, and that's what we want. We get them moving in the right direction.
I think it goes back to majority of you either have kids or you work with kids or you're around kids in some capacity. And you can either tell your kids to go pick up their toys and make it so boring, and they're like, yeah, no. But if you make it, not with Max and Mark, but if you make it a game and you make it fun and exciting, most kids are like, hey, this is cool, right? So the more you can share it with excitement, really the exact words coming out of your mouth, it's not what matters. They're going to read your body language. They're going to read your tone of voice, your body language, all of those things. That's what's going to get them there. If you're kind of sitting there like, yeah, I really just don't know. If you're not coming off as confident, they're going to sense that. And they're like, I don't know. But if you come off as excited, what you're really saying is not as important. So.
Right. And one of the things, it's coming back to from a slide that's missing, but one of the things that you also want to instill is a sense of urgency. When you're sharing events with people or calls, don't say, well, that's okay if you can't come. We have them every other Thursday. Because what you want to do is have a sense of urgency that this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. There's never going to be another one like it. Never will there be an opportunity. We're both Megan and Kayla are sharing their stories in the same room, although we know that happens all the time. But having that sense of urgency so that perhaps your prospect, and this is something called fear of loss, you want to kind of instill fear of loss. When we have corporate coming to town, we know how important that is. We don't get corporate here every month. Sometimes we're lucky if we get them once a quarter. And so we always have a sense of urgency when we're sharing those events with our team, and also a fear of loss. That these events are never recorded. When Ron Reynolds comes and he sits in a living room or he sits in a hotel room and he just goes, he doesn't have a script, he's just sharing from his heart, know that that's never going to happen again. And so instilling a little bit of the sense of urgency that there's never going to be an event like this again, and then the fear of loss of, I would never miss this event for anything in all of the world, or this is the mixer of the year. I wouldn't miss it, be in that living room. So you want a sense of urgency, fear of loss. And then also, if it is a big event, the best way to get people to come with you is to say, hey, I have 2 spots open in my car. I can swing by and scoop you up. I can pick you up, because we know that some of the best conversations are happening in a car going to an event, but more importantly are in the car when you're leaving the event. And you're able to ask that person right away, how are you feeling? So what did you think? Are you excited? Do you see what I see? And so it's just a really great way to feed off of that energy a little bit sooner. So we know that we host mixers every other Thursday. We know that it's on our calendar till the end of the year. But when we share mixers with our prospects, I don't say, don't worry about it. We do these every 2 weeks. Come when you can. I make it out like we don't ever have mixers at our home. Or, like we are so excited. We can't wait to have our living room full of people so that we can share Advocare with. And that's how we've been able to get people to mixers, or that's how we've been able to get them on phone calls. That's why a lot of our trainings aren't recorded, because we know that people, if they know that, oh, it's recorded, I'll just catch it whenever. They'll never get on it live. They'll never make the sacrifice to do what needs to be done to build a successful business in Advocare. So I know it's annoying that we don't record stuff, but there really is that sense of loss, that fear of loss too. So I'm trying to think of what else was on that missing slide.
I'll share another story. How many of you read Danny McDaniel's book, Only Believe? Right? There's a good story in there. Danny McDaniel. For those of you who don't know, Danny McDaniel is the top income earner in all of Advocare. He makes like what, $300,000 in a month, I think. So when he was first getting started, somebody invited him to a mixer, and they said, "Hey, you got to get to this event. Actually, I only have 4 seats. I'll save 2 for you if you're going to tell me you're going to go. All right? Can I count on you? Can you be there?" And he was like, "Man, there's only 4 seats, and I get 2 of them. I better get in that room." So then he gets there, and it's open. Anybody, tons of empty seats. And so the guy says, "Well, I got you here, didn't I?" So what he did was he created that fear of loss. He created that sense of, hey, you need to be here. Like, this isn't coming around all the time. You need to get there. And so what did Danny do? He got there. And so that's just one of the things that you want to do to get people in the room, because sometimes, everyone likes to stay in their comfort zone, right? Everyone likes to stay there. It's nice. It's safe. You don't have to worry about anything. Like, nothing new is going to bother you, right? And so if you can get someone just to step out of that, then they realize, oh, hey, this ain't so bad. I can earn money, take some awesome products. I'm in.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else on this? So next we really want to talk about
Easy on the box. Look at that.
Mixer Mania. So what we want to kind of do is walk you through what it takes for you to host your own mixer. Now know that we do have our own mixers every other Thursday, and everybody's more than welcome to come. But just recognize that if you are ready to take your business to that leadership or to silver leadership level and beyond, you have got to be comfortable with hosting your own mixers. Not for your own personal prospects to plug into, but as a service to your team. There's going to be a time where your mind kind of shifts a little bit to no longer what am I doing to build my business, but how can I serve my team? What can I do to help them build theirs? And it's really hard for you to go and tell a brand new distributor, okay, time for you to host a mixer when you haven't yet hosted your own. So we're going to kind of walk you guys through what we do before we host a mixer, what happens during a mixer, what happens after the mixer is over. And again, these slides are available, so don't feel like you have to write everything down real fast. But
before we go, everybody stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Just turn, stand up, just get that blood going.
Do we need a spark?
Yeah. Turn to your neighbor, just give him 1 high five. 1 high five. Turn to your neighbor. Perfect. All right, go ahead and have a seat.
Yes, this is a teacher. Pumped up.
Right? You're sitting too long. You start to,
Where's the spark?
Yeah, Jason's like, do you want a 16? I'm like, are you kidding me? All right, I spark. I spark right before I come. I don't sleep all night again. That's okay. Okay, so first and foremost, know that this business really is going to be built right here in your living room. You can do a lot of stuff on social media. You can do a lot of 3-way phone calls. You can do a lot of those things, but really a lot happens in a mixer setting. There's a lot of great emotions. There's a lot of great stories. There's a lot of daydreaming in a good way. There's a lot of just dreaming in general that happens. It's when you walk into a mixer, you get to feel something. You feel something different. And so that's why it's really important to know that this business is really going to be built in your living room. I was just talking to Serena and Frank. We did a mixer with them on Saturday.
Champions.
And
looking good over there.
It was electric in that room. It was phenomenal. There was so much energy. We felt it, and we've been to many, many mixers, and it was just so different, a very good different, but you only feel that when you're in a room at a mixer. And so know that it's really going to be built right here in your living room.
Another key to like the mixers too is now, and this could be said for this room right now, next event you get to, you're going to see somebody that you know, and it's just going to feel you're going to feel so familiar, because relationships are so important in this business. And there's going to be a time where you get into a room and you have somebody there with you, and you're able to say, there's my friend Kristen. You know what? I know you teach. She teaches. She's a teacher right now. Why don't you come meet her? and then boom, instant connection for that person that you brought and somebody who you already know. So relationships are huge, and I'm sorry for those who aren't here, but for those of you who are here, it's so important that you're able to like get to know each other and know each other's names, because trust me, it does help later on down the line. And that happens like in a setting like this, but also really happens at mixers. So
Yeah, absolutely. So just some behind the scenes preparing for your mixer. Make sure that you schedule a time and a date with your leadership. Make sure that it's a date that works well for both of you. It's probably almost impossible to call up your leader on that day and say, hey, I'm having a mixer at 2, are you gonna be there? So make sure that you plan that out ahead of time. And also make sure that you talk over that date with your leadership. There was one time we had a teammate that wanted to hold a mixer at 10 a.m. on a Sunday. And although it worked well in their schedule, it doesn't work for a majority of us. Sunday mornings are tough for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. So make sure that you are kind of just throwing different days and times around with your leadership so that you can reasonably between all of you decide, yeah, that sounds like a really good time. Friday nights really sometimes are hit and miss. I know that Friday nights when Rob and I were still working were date nights. Those were the only nights I had with him. There probably wasn't much that was gonna take me away from that. So knowing just kind of some different times, and again, get with your leadership and really talk to them about it, because I'm sure that at this point, we've probably all hosted a mixer at least once every day of the week at some time. So we can give you some good feedback on what some good days and times would be. Inviting the guests. This is really important. Kind of touched on this last week at a class with the success system. Yeah. A little bit of like, is that Tourette's? Sometimes I have that. Okay. Anyway, so great. So the best way that you can really invite people truly is face-to-face or over the phone. It allows people the opportunity to hear your heart, to hear your motive too on why you want them to be in the room to learn more about Advocare. We don't see it as much as we used to, but Facebook invites, just blasting your Facebook world, know that that's not a successful way of doing it. I get invited to a lot of things, a lot of random things on Facebook, and unless that person has physically communicated me in some regards as to why I'm being invited to that event or why this would add value to my life, I ignore it. And I'm sure that's true for a lot of people, especially the nail thing. I love to do my nails, and I would probably be interested in those parties that they're sending me to, but nobody has taken the time to say, hey, Kayla, I know that you bought your own lamp to do your own gel nails and you do all that at home, and I think that this would be something better for you than spending 2 hours doing your own nails every now and then. But nobody's yet to do that for me, so I have not even blinked an eye really at some of these different parties. So know that if you're going to use Facebook invites, that again, it still needs to be a personal invite to somebody, picking up the phone, calling them, doing it face-to-face, belly button to belly button.
Whoa. Face-to-face is fine.
That may be a little bit too close.
I
think, before we keep going too, and this is more directed towards everybody that's plugging in online right now that is obviously not here in the state, or most of them are not in the state where their leadership most of the time is not local to them. That does not mean that you don't have to do mixers. What that means is that you get to buck up and do it by yourself. That doesn't mean that we're not going to help you, but it means that you just have to take that and just run with it. That picture that's on that screen right there, Kayla and I hosted a mixer and we did absolutely everything wrong. If you want to go by like the true mixer guidelines, there's somebody sitting in this room right now who came that day. So obviously,
You're a brave soul.
Yeah. We did something right. But whether your sponsor lives here or not, or you live near your sponsor or not, that's an excuse to not do a mixer. So let's clear that off the table right now, because I can imagine that there's a number of people sitting there saying, I'm out, I don't live near my sponsor, I can't do a mixer.
Let's take 1 minute, and I want you to get out your fancy phones, because everybody got a fancy phone in here, and just look at what you have in the next 3 weeks. What's available? Real quick. We got 1 minute. I see it on the screen. 40 seconds. Do it. look, see what's available.
How about being a sponsor this long distance? Is that tough to, I mean, can you tap into groups and organize a certain event?
Yeah, you can tap them into another event. You can help them. You know. What's available? Don't check your Facebook status. Just
October 18th.
there you go.
There you go.
Mark it down. Put it in your phone, and then text one of us.
Oh, for next year.
Yeah.
Whoa. The 18th, is that a Thursday?
No, it's Saturday.
I
What?
was gonna say,
We have a big one. No, I'm not confused.
I think the 19th we talked about it, right, in the afternoon. My first.
Yeah. How people unload boxes so they can move you in. Whatever works.
Maybe on the start, you know this.
that's right. We'll work for Spark, that's me.
But you know, that's just the mentality you have to have. You don't want to wait like, oh, I'll check it when I get home, because you want to have that sense of urgency for your own business. I mean, you are a business builder, and so I would say if you are serious about doing this, you would want to get your own mixer on the board within the next few weeks. So before that week of Halloween, I would say you would want a mixer, at least one, and that's part of your homework too, having a mixer. So, but-
Sweet. So that's the preparing, that's getting people to your mixer, and really use that art of promotion to get people to your mixer. I know our very first one that we ever hosted we've never hosted a mixer until we moved into the house, because we never had the room. We hosted them here because they were so generous and opened up their home to us. And that's actually what we told people. It's like, oh, you've been asking to see our home, now you have an opportunity. We're having a mixer at our house, and you can come and learn some more about Advocare and how we were able to get into this home. And so doing those kind of art promotions even too, if you have like, hey, why don't I come see your house? You're like, great, October 16th, I'm having a housewarming party. Come on. Oh, you've never had Spartan? Here you go. So yes, preparing for the mixer, inviting, setting the date. Pretty much it's just making that decision that we're going to do it. We're going to host a successful mixer. The room setup. So this really doesn't have to be very fancy. All you really need is a 24-day challenge and a display of some sort. And we learned this, it didn't take us too long to realize we should just start saving our product boxes. And so now our display are just empty boxes of product. So as you're using product, we have a big obnoxious box right now in our pantry that every time we finish a product, just chuck it right into that box. And then so we're building an awesome product display, but we always have just empty boxes for the 24-day challenge. So you'll need a 24-day challenge display. And then of course, if you have any extras, if you choose to talk about Catalyst, ThermoPlus, Carbies, whatever it may be, have those also on display. People like to be able to touch the boxes. They like to be able to physically pick them up and see what's in them and take the time. We have a lot of people that after the mixer's over, they kind of meander over to our product display and they're looking at the boxes and they're reading about the Spark and different things of that capacity. So make sure you have one on display. Have your Solutions for Your Success DVD on. Now, more important than having your DVD in the DVD player is test the volume on your TV. There have been so many mixers where we press play and nobody can hear anything, because when you're just at home watching TV, your TV typically isn't jacked up. But when you have a room full of people who are sitting way in the dining room, it's important that the volume is up loud enough. And what we find is people are hustling, trying to find the volume and the remote, and then the video's over. And it's like, well, should we play it again? So make sure that you do a sound check before the mixer. Play a couple of the videos. Make sure that it's loud enough that even if they're way in the back, that they'll be able to hear it. I have
DVDs necessary. You don't have to.
It's definitely not, you don't have to have them. All you need is an Impact magazine. Because the DVD is essentially an Impact magazine brought to life. It's live and in person. So you can absolutely have an Impact magazine. And you can purchase the Impact magazines on your microsite. I encourage everybody to have those anyways. And if you do the Impact magazine route, it's okay to hand out a magazine to everybody too and kind of navigate with them. So then, because if you're standing up here with a picture, they probably can't see it back there. But if they have a magazine in their hand, they'll be able to flip the pages. It's a little bit more interactive. We've done mixers like that, especially when they're smaller.
Always good to have them as a backup, because there are those days where the DVD player doesn't work.
Imagine that technology.
Yeah, but someone else in town has a mixer at your house and your DVD player's on the fridge.
Yeah. So it happens. So having that backup, knowing your Impact magazine, knowing the DVD, and having things picked out beforehand, is also key.
Perfect. So this too is going to sound ridiculous, but have your lights turned on. You want a setting that is bright and comfortable. And so when we do our mixers, now that it's getting a little bit darker, a little bit earlier, we don't have the same issue like we did before. But the way that our house sits, the sun sets right into our back window, so it's very bright. But by the end of our mixer, the sun has gone down, and now people are sitting in the dark in our living room. That's very uncomfortable, especially I'm uncomfortable if I'm sitting in somebody's dark home at 8 o'clock at night. That's just weird. Turn on the lights, make the setting comfortable, make it inviting for people. If somebody's taking notes, allow them the opportunity to have enough light too. Plus, if it's an evening mixer and you have a stranger coming to your home that maybe doesn't know you, maybe your distributor sent them to your home, it's kind of intimidating as a stranger to walk into somebody's dark home. So whether it's
Lights
just
on.
layouts, if you have a big light like this, always have them on just in case. You never know when a cloud's going to come over and it's going to cut the sunlight or the sun's going to set. So just really keep a very bright environment. This is something that we've recently been doing at our mixers, is having a little bit of background music, because until a lot of people come into our home, it can be awkward with the silence. And so what we've been doing is, I actually downloaded Spotify on my phone, and then it hooks up to Bluetooth so that it'll play. But there's actually it's a playlist called Advo Mix 2. And what's really neat about that is we are literally jamming out in our house before our mixer starts. And it really sets the precedent, and there's a lot of energy in the room. And sometimes my jam comes on. It's hard for me not like to get pumped up before I have to share Advocare. So have the music on. And then, of course, when the mixer ends and you tell everybody, thank you so much for coming, what typically happens if you've never hosted a mixer, it's like cricket, nobody moves. And it's like, okay, now what? Everybody's staring at me and it's quiet. So then you know what I do? I turn the music back on. And it makes everybody's like, oh, okay, this is fun, And
then you can talk to your neighbor.
Exactly. It's not as awkward. So that's not a requirement. I know that Serena and Frank had music at theirs, and it was so nice and inviting, and it made the atmosphere so much more fun too. And Advocare is different. A mixer's not where you're gonna come and somebody's gonna say, give me your credit card. It's not this high pressure, stressful situation. It really is a fun thing. And that's one of the things that we wanted to make. Rob just walked in, so I'm not talking to Stacy like you and me. Rob just walked in, but to really make a mixer fun and inviting for people. Spark. Make sure that you have Spark on hand. It's really hard to sample out a lot of Advocare products. You can't give somebody a 24-day challenge, say, hey, do this right now, let me know how you're feeling, but you can with a Spark. Spark is very important. I like Megan and Jason, you know what they do? They put out a nice variety of Spark. It lets everybody try a little bit of something, especially if somebody's only had fruit punch. It gives them the opportunity to try grape or whatever it may be. I avoided grape for like 2 years, and you were right.
I told you.
It's good.
It is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
But no, you don't need a wide variety of Spark flavors. Don't feel like now you have to go out and buy every Spark that we have. One flavor is just fine. You can do a canister, or you can have packets, whatever's more economical for you, what makes more sense for you. You can see back there, Megan just has a big thing of water. So then that way they can choose to put their Spark, whatever flavor they choose, with the water. And more importantly, we can't just hold up those cups.
Not big.
The cups don't need to be massive, but if I could be particular about the cups that you use to serve Spark, those cups are clear. And Spark is beautiful. Now, Spark was brown when you mixed it. I'd encourage you to go and buy red Solo cups. But because it's so pretty, put it in a clear glass. It just looks a little bit better. It's kind of, I don't know, we've seen people even dress it up with fruit or whatever to make it super pretty. But we went and bought clear glasses just for the mere fact that it's really pretty when it's mixed up. And what's neat that we found is strangers are like, wow, what Spark did you get? That's a cool color. And so it's been a way too, believe it or not, to be kind of a way of conversation with people. Like, oh, hey, green, what is that you're drinking? Well, that's our key lime cherry rehydrate. So you guys had green. They had it actually mixed already in the huge decanters. And I was telling somebody, oh, that's Hulk juice. You wouldn't drink that. So it's just a really great way to engage conversation with strangers. But Spark, you definitely want that at your event. Now, if you are, say, for example, if Rob and I are going to go to Megan and Jason's event, and we bring 9 cars full of people, 45 people show up at Megan and Jason's house, we should probably bring our own canister, because it's not Megan and Jason's responsibility to spark up all 45 of our guests. Now, the people that they're very kind, and they would probably have no problem with us having a whole canister of Spark, but be mindful. If you are every week going to Megan and Jason's mixers and you're drinking a Spark and like 9 others, it's okay being a business builder to bring your own Spark. So just really be mindful of that. It's not required. I'm not saying, Kristen, if you come to my mixer, your person needs to have Spark. But I mean, be mindful too on bringing Spark too for your prospects if you're bringing a lot of people every week. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. But also one thing too about the setup, you don't have to have a mini success school at your home. Okay? It doesn't have to be this huge like production with like, you know, confetti and lights and, you know, all that. So
fireworks?
Yeah, no fireworks. They're cool. You know, they're illegal, first of all. But
so you're
you know,
saying that I need to take that Dallas Cowboy cheerleader uniform back because
yeah,
my wife won't wear it?
No, you don't need to have that, you know. But you know, so just know that like if all you have is you know, a few packets of Spark and an Impact magazine, you can do a mixer. You know, that's really what we want you to understand is, yes, all this stuff is beneficial. The variety is awesome. It gives people a chance to try the flavors. It's great. But just know that if you're just starting out and your goal is to earn that income and you don't have like a lot of that money to invest right away, that's okay to have just your success, your Solutions for Success DVD and an Impact magazine and a box of Spark. You know, it really, you got to just make it work for you.
Yeah, definitely. And don't get so caught up into, you know, it's really not a housewarming party. So don't feel like you need to have a huge spread of food,
Yes.
that you need, you know, cheese
Bars,
and cracker
you can
display.
chop up a bar, you can share a
chop
bar.
up bars. But just again, remember that everything that you do is duplicatable. And you don't want somebody to come into your home and learn about AdvoCare, think to themselves, I want to do this, I can do this, but then turn around and see that you just pulled out these beautiful apple pies that you just baked. And you're like, well, I can't bake apple pies, so I can't do AdvoCare. So just be very mindful of that. Just like Lisa said, all you really need is Spark and stories to have a successful mixer. So don't feel like you need to go above and beyond and do all the other extras. Spark and some stories and some excitement for people. So what happens now? Your room is prepped, you have the date set. Now what happens? Your guests are going to start to arrive. And what you want to do is Spark everybody as they walk through the door. And you don't say, oh, hey, do you want to try this Spark? It's a mental focus. It'll probably keep you up to 1 a.m., but it tastes good.
Cool.
Do you want this? No, just say, here you go. Oh, you've never had a Spark? Here you go. And share the Spark with them. And this is going to sound terrible, but if they are up until 1 a.m. in the morning, chances are, well, they may be a little upset with you, but you know what they're going to think? Man, that stuff really works. And I know I'm up at 1 a.m. I really wish I would have had this, you know, today at 10 a.m. when I hit my lull at work. Or, oh my gosh, I could drink one of these at 2 p.m. when I don't know how I'm going to finish my day. So really make sure that you are sparking everybody. And we always joke when we're doing our mixer, like, okay, so if you're wondering why you're super focused on us and why you're so excited to be here, that's because of the spark that we gave you. Another thing, don't say, oh, they just have grape. You're not going to like grape. Don't drink the Spark. Just because you don't like the Spark doesn't mean that your prospect won't like the grape Spark. So don't automatically rule that out by saying, oh, you're not going to like grape. Or, oh, you really won't like cherry. So just spark them up and say, here you go. Hand them the Spark. This is really important too, and we don't see enough of this. So it is important to point it out. is introduce your guests to your sponsor or your leadership. Because if you invited them there, you probably in some capacity said, oh, and you know, my leaders Megan and Jason are going to be there, and they have one heck of an income story. You're going to really want to hear it. Now, if you take the time as your guest walks through that door and say, remember I told you Megan and Jason? Let me introduce you to them. Do you know how special your person's going to feel? Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna meet them. You know, so really take the time to do that. But it just makes this business a little bit more personable too. It helps to build that relationship. So then in the event, maybe down the line, that person enrolls to be a distributor. And then if Megan and Jason just want to call and reach out to them and say, hey, you know, hey, Susie, this is Jason. Or maybe it should be Megan. Hey, Susie, this is Megan. I met you at Kayla's Mixer. I just wanted to call and welcome you to the team. We're really excited for you. You make building that relationship so much easier when you do that. And of course, this is a little bit easier too in a little bit of a smaller setting. I know that Serena and Frank did this with a few people, and then their living room like exploded with people, and so we just couldn't keep up with them all. But it was really neat too for me to meet their friends and more importantly their family too, because it helped build our relationship and our friendship also. So that's something that's definitely important.
And like we said, the relationships are so key, because when you go to a next event, if you introduce them at that mixer, then they see him again at a big event, and they can say, oh yeah, you know, there's Kayla. Hey Kayla, what's going on? Or there's Megan, you know, whatever it may be, because that's where a lot of this business is built. Many of you have entered this business because of a relationship you had with somebody. So just keep that in mind, that when they do come in, you do want to welcome them and introduce them to your sponsor or your leadership.
Yeah, and I just thought about this too. It's not on here, so you may want to make note of this. Name tags. I'm so glad that Megan has brought out name tags, because I feel like I'm getting to know each of you too a little bit better, because I can actually remember your names. Names are hard for me, so name tags are really important. Now, as your mixers start to get bigger and bigger, one of the things that you can do is start to implement the color system. So you have two different color name tags. The red would be name tags for people that maybe are already distributors, and then blue for maybe the new prospects. This is especially important. Let's say, for instance, you have Deb and Humphrey.
Yeah.
They come to your home.
Yes.
And they're hosting
Yes.
And you find out the day of.
Yes. And they don't know any of your team. They don't even know who the difference between a prospect and a distributor is. So Deb actually taught us this, and it's very important if there's a special guest coming that they can instantly distinguish between the two, because they may ask a brand new person questions different than what they would ask a distributor, if you know what I mean. So keep that in the back of your mind too, as your mixers start to grow, as your business starts to grow, even for your own self. There are some times too when brand new people come and I'm like asking Rob, like, okay, is she a distributor? Or do you think she's new? Or, oh God, I don't know. And so it helps to reasonably know who you can talk to too, or who you can kind of direct your attention to when you're doing the mixer. So the color system will definitely come into.
And that's kind of a funny story. If you guys don't know, Deb and Humphrey Fisser are like senior vice presidents or sales vice presidents, I think. And we had an opportunity to host them here. And so I think we had like, what, 2 days to kind of.
I think it's.
So
If
you
you want to talk about like, you want your
Panic.
house
Like,
immaculate and clean, and I mean that was an extreme
that was,
case.
yes. So we actually had, they're from corporate. And so we had the opportunity to host them here. And so we rallied and we got all these people here, and they came in and they were like the sweetest people. And they definitely gave us a chance to get to know them, but also gave us so many tips and ideas. So if you ever get a chance to host somebody from corporate, do it. Take advantage, because it's key. So once everyone's in your home and you're getting ready to start the mixer, what you want to do if you're the host is you want to stand up there or sit, whatever you're comfortable with, and you want to share your story. What brought you to Advocare, why you're still doing it, what you see in the business opportunity. You want to share your story. And then once you share your 2-minute story, you want to pass it over to the expert, right? You want to pass it to somebody who knows the business, who knows the compensation plan, who knows the endorsers and all that other good stuff, and let them kind of take it away.
Now, if you are hosting this by yourself and you do not have a sponsor there, and now I know you're sitting there right now thinking,
what am I going to do?
What am I going to do? I don't have anybody to pass it to. How you share your story at that point is up to you. If you really want to give your 2-minute story, that's fine. If you want to share more how long you've been in Advocare, what brought you to Advocare, that's fine. And then kind of wait and share your product story when you get to product, share your business story when you get to business. That's fine. There is no true right or wrong way. You're never going to get a call from us that's like, Rudy, you did not do your story correctly at the beginning of your mixer. It's your mixer. You have to do what works for you, what makes it comfortable for you. These are simply just suggestions of what has worked in the past. Those of you that have been with us for a while have seen a huge evolve in how we do mixers.
Yes.
We've changed them drastically.
We had many success goals. Like we did. We threw it down. We had music and movies and lights and action, fireworks. But if you don't have somebody there, like if you don't have a sponsor there, the DVD is great. The DVD has everything you need. It has stuff on the side med board, has stuff on the sponsors, on the endorsers, has everything you need to do it if you don't have somebody there to help you. So don't be afraid to lean on that DVD. So here is a basic outline. Again, this is just for you to understand how the flow of a mixer should go, okay? Because the last thing you want to get up there, share your story, and then be like, cool.
All right.
What do you think? Should we, want to hear about endorsers? That'd be cool. Yeah. What you want to do is you want to have a good flow of what's going to happen next. And so once and it's good, I like how this says too, is share how it's going to go. Hey, we're going to talk about the products. And then if that's something that you're really interested in, but you don't want to hear about the business, then we can break it up and you don't have to stay for the business side. Or if you want to hear about both of them, you can definitely do that. So if you let people know up front, like what to expect, then it goes a lot smoother. So if you just say, hey, we're going to touch on the products, we're going to touch on the business, and then, I'll see where you're at after that. Okay. And what's key is you want to share the 4 relationships as well, because like I mentioned earlier, there are 4 relationships, and those are very important to let people know they have options. Like I said, for me, coming into this, having no understanding of direct sales whatsoever, to see those options up there and for someone to say, hey, you can come in, you can just buy the products. You can come in and you can get a discount. You can come in and you can build up on a bigger discount, or you can be a business builder. To have somebody lay those 4 options out for me was like, hey, this is kind of cool. And then to be able to learn that and then be able to share that with some people makes it so much more easy. It makes it so much more comfortable and personable, because you could just say, you know what, I know you said you like a discount. Hey, $79 gets you a discount, and if you know somebody else, you can maybe even earn a little bit money back. So explaining those 4 relationships are important. The first thing you want to do once your mixer gets started is you want to kind of review Advocare. I read a book called Start With Why. And I don't know if anyone's into those kind of books, but Start With Why is just an awesome book. And so what it does is it breaks down, the companies who succeed, and it really breaks down why they succeed. And really the essence is because they know why they started. Apple didn't wake up one day, the company Apple didn't wake up one day and say, hey, we're going to make a ton of money. That's not what they started for. They started, they wanted to make great computers that would help people solve problems. So they wanted to bring computers into the home. So it starts off with why, just like that. And with Advocare, our why starts with Charlie Regis. So if you can explain Charlie Regis and why he's important to Advocare, that's a great foundation to start off with. Because if somebody can hear Charlie talk, or to hear that legacy clip from the DVD, man, it just sheds so much light on our company and our background, and it makes it so much easier for them to understand as you move forward with the business. And so you really want to start off with that. Obviously, you want to talk about the safety and credibility, the unpaid endorsers, which, are we saying product allowance now? Isn't that what they want us to say? They want us to say endorsers get a product allowance. They don't actually get paid, but they do get
compensated with product.
Compensated with product. Yep. So you want to make sure you say that, because, man, if you hear some of the stories about some of these athletes and what they get for sponsorships, and to know that the athletes that we have, like Drew Brees, Jason Witten, Rich Froning, they actually take our products because they enjoy them. I mean, that's huge. Then you want to transition to the products. And of course, the key with products is sharing stories. I know we were at the mixer at Christine's this last weekend, and we relied heavily on stories because there are some good stories in the room. And so when we're able to share those stories, it's so powerful. And so if you have a good story in the room, you definitely want to share that. So I know for us, we have always, our great friends and awesome story, income story. So, it'd be silly for us to try to get up there when they have this epic income story that we want them to share. So use the stories in the room. I know if my brother Joe comes out, he's gonna be the one to share a good income story. So you definitely want to use those stories. And if you know somebody who has an epic weight loss story, that you want to make sure that they share that story.
Now, if you don't have stories in the room, if you're talking to people who are brand new, they're just getting started, again, go back to your Impact Magazine, go back to the DVD. That's what those stories are there for. You don't have to have stories in the room necessarily. You can always use those, and we always like to show some of those and stories in them so that people can kind of see that we're not just making it up. It's not just here.
Yeah.
It's bigger than just us. So.
And one thing to note too, because we try to get a lot of stories in the room, just like Megan was saying, so we won't always rely on the DVD, but the one story that we always like to play from the DVD it's just called the 24-Day Challenge product story. And the reason why we like to share that is because when Serena gets up and shares her incredible weight loss story, people are blown away, but what they don't see is the physical transformation. They hear it and people may or may not know what 60 pounds lost looks like. When Frank showed us his before picture when we went to their home on Saturday, I was blown away. So this one particular reel features quite a few different stories, but it gives you the before and the after picture. Because even when you tell people, I lost 5 pounds, 5 pounds can look significantly different when somebody's lost 20 inches. So we like to show that, and we'll even say that, Serena's story is amazing, Frank's story is out of this world, but let me show you these stories because you can see where they came from. And so it's kind of like we get to see their highlight reel because they're here and in person, but what's cool about that video is you can visually see, wow, before and wow, after.
I know too that I like to see your guys' story on the DVD because we can say these people we're friends with. They're in Colorado, they're part of this team, and so it kind of makes them go, oh, if you're not in the room, then they can see you and Rob. You go, oh, they're from Colorado and they live here in Aurora and they're normal people, and
Wow, yeah,
so
that's cool.
I always share yours, and then we made Jason share his because you guys are right.
And then once you share some stories, then you want to share exactly what is the 24-Day Challenge. Talk about the cleanse phase, talk about the max phase, and then also any of the extra products that are available. So like Thermo Plus, Catalyst, anything like that, you want to make sure you break those up and explain them. And then once you're finished with the products, then you move over to the business. And I know we always like to share something like this is our favorite product, or what's great about having awesome products is that we also then have an awesome income opportunity or something along those lines to help you transition from, okay, we have great products, now hear about this great business opportunity. And then once you are in that business opportunity, you can go either way. I've seen people explain, what it means to get to advisor. I've seen people explain, what you get with a distributor kit. But I've also just seen where we've just shared stories, where we've just shared some income stories. And when you share income stories, you really want to get to what that income has allowed somebody to do that they weren't able to do before. So for instance, if somebody is able to make an extra $500 and that extra $500 has allowed them to pay off their car, in a year before, 2 years before they ever thought they would, you want to share that. Or if somebody's able to make an extra $2,000 a month, which now allows them to be a stay-at-home mom, you want to share that. So you definitely want to touch on those income stories as well and touch on their why and what has the income done for their family.
Yeah, and like Jason was saying, when you are talking about the business, just be very mindful about using what we refer to as ADVO lingo. Just be very careful about how deep and how in depth you go with the business. A lot of people aren't going to know override. A lot of people aren't going to know Ruby, Emerald, they're not gonna understand those leadership levels. They're not gonna understand a lot of those things. So do make sure that, you know, you don't get so complicated that now you have complicated people to, now they're like, I can't do this. This is way too difficult. And one of the things that we talk about, obviously we share our own story, and then we say, you know, but we're gonna share with you guys some other stories of some other people that are having success in AdvoCare. Because for Rob and I really was hearing stories of different people that had gone before us that made us realize that you can do this too, Kayla. You can do this too, Rob. And so we like to share that with people. And that's why we load them up with a lot of stories, because the truth is our story probably doesn't relate to most of you guys in here, because we don't have children yet. We don't know what it's like to have that desire to be home with our kids. We've yet to drop a kid off at daycare. So there's just different things that we can't necessarily connect to some audiences, but we can play a story that will pull at somebody's heartstrings that maybe our story doesn't. Now, if you're hosting the mixer with the business stories, do your leadership a big favor and pick out some different stories that you think would relate to your guests. Since you're the one who did the inviting, we don't know if we're going to walk into a house full of ladies who are like Rob and I, who don't have children, or maybe we're going to walk into a room full of, you know, people that they have no interest in staying home with their kids. They're already retired. They just want to stay home with grandbabies, or they want a retirement account. So if you can reasonably give us some suggestions on videos that will target your prospects that will be in the room, know that we'll be able to connect with them on a completely different level. Because it's hard for us to walk in and talk about, you know, we just wanted to be debt free when there's a mom sitting on the couch who really wants to be home. So we want to be sure that we can connect with her. Does that make sense?
And then once you get through the business and you're able to, you know, share those stories and all that, then you want to close it. And when you want to close it, you know, a lot of times you want to close it with some vision. Obviously, you want somebody that's going to be able to paint vision. I know we always ask Rob and Kayla to close because they're so great at closing that vision, or to paint that vision. So either you can do that, or you can have somebody else paint that vision for them. And let people, what I mean by painting vision is let people know what is possible with AdvoCare. You know, it doesn't have to be one size fits all. So let them know what's possible with AdvoCare, and then encourage them to get back with the person that invited them. You know, we always encourage them, like, you know, if Rudy was to invite somebody to our mixer, I would always encourage them to go back and talk to Rudy. And I would tell them, let Rudy know where you are at. Are you a number one? Are you just looking for the product? Are you a number two? Are you looking for the products, but you want a discount? Are you a number three? Maybe you want the products, but you want a big discount. Or you're a number four and you want to build a business. But we don't know that, so we want to ask them that and then direct them back to the person that invited them.
And set the expectation up too. Kind of ask for that follow-up. You know, let them know that the person that invited you, they genuinely care about where you want to be involved with AdvoCare, if at all. And they're going to get back to you to know if you're number one or you're number two. And so what you've kind of done too is you've opened the door for the follow-up. Because sometimes I know that it can be a little scary for you then to say to your friends, so what do you think? But if we can reasonably kind of warm it up a little bit and say that, you know, Kristen's going to get back to you and she's going to ask you, you know, where are you at? Are you number one or are you number four? And then that way they too can reasonably make the decision, because that's half the battle for some people, is deciding where they want to have a relationship with AdvoCare, if they do want one at all. So that's a great point to add too.
And then just the things to think about, you don't want your mixer to be 2 hours long. Okay, you want to keep it at like 45 minutes. We've even done it sometimes in about 40 minutes, and that is plenty of time to cover everything, share some really heartfelt stories, and get somebody on their way. I know when we first started doing mixers on Saturdays, that was something we were really mindful of, that we knew that a Saturday mixer is sometimes hit or miss. But if we can, you know, get somebody in early and get them out quickly, but still be able to share that heart and that passion with people, then we can still make an impact, and it would still be worth their time. And so you definitely want to keep it within 45 minutes, start on time, and try to end within that 45 minutes. If it goes to about an hour, that's still okay. But anything longer than an hour, you've said too much. You've done too much. You know, call off the dogs, chill out, you know, send them on their way, let them know that they can take a spark for the road. And then I love this one, is have fun and share your heart. I think that's somewhere where we have really had to grow, with sharing our heart, because at times, when you have somebody new, you don't know how far you can go. And and I know from us, we're pretty guarded sometimes. And so we're a little nervous to share exactly like what motivated us to get involved in this business. And so I encourage you to start getting comfortable being uncomfortable and start getting comfortable leading with that heart and leading with that passion. And don't be afraid to let somebody know, like, you know what, we were in a bad place financially. And because of this opportunity, we've been able to rise above that, whatever it may be for you. But make sure that you are able to go to that place and share your heart and your passion.
And I know for me, when we started to do mixers for the very first time, I literally worried myself sick with talking about Charlie Vegas and knowing everything about our sign ed board. And then I can't forget to mention the endorsers. And then, oh gosh, how am I going to explain 24-day challenge? I had to memorize everything, literally to the point where I was having sleepless nights. I was stressed to the max, and mixers were not fun for me. But what I later learned after doing so many mixers is that people are uninterested in how much you know. You could completely botch everything about the 24-day challenge, but people really are more interested in how much you care about them, and know that it's not about knowing everything about Charlie Vegas. And if you don't feel like you know enough about the legacy, or you don't feel like you know enough about the products, know that you can still host a mixer because you have a passion and you have a purpose and you have enthusiasm to share with other people. So it's really just important to remind yourself, don't get caught up in all these little details. Know that this is kind of a nice flow, but know what really is important is your message that you are sharing with people. And even if you just pop in the DVD and you press play, and then at the end of it, you stand up there and you share your purpose and your vision for what AdvoCare is going to be for you and your family, you're going to capture a lot of people's hearts just by that. So don't worry yourself to sleepless, restless nights like I did in the beginning.
And also your sponsor, I know Rob and Kayla filled in, like I presented first and Serena jumped in second. And they kind of came in and filled in all the gaps of the stuff that we forgot. So it was really cool to have them there and back it up for us.
Yeah, and you guys did great. I mean, you really didn't even need us. But thanks for including us because we enjoyed it.
I think the only other thing is it is so easy to come up with excuses of why you cannot hold a mixer. Oh, we have this going on, or oh, I have kids, or oh, I have this, and that brings up another point of having kids there. You saw Max down here briefly at the very beginning. There is a reason that we scheduled this at the time we did, knowing that he was being shipped up to bed. Because as much as we love him, he is a huge distraction, not only for us, but to you. So we really do ask that kids not be present at mixers, if at all possible, because when they start crying or they're, banging on things and it's a distraction, and you really want to be able to capture people and really pull them in. So just be mindful of that. And that is hard when you do have kids, because you're like, gosh, what am I supposed to do with them? And where do I set them? I can't put Max in his room by himself. He's not old enough. Most of the time he's not old enough. But you know what I mean? It's hard, and it's so easy to come up with excuses. But look at your kids. Are they worth it? Is it worth finding somebody to watch them for 2 hours so that you eventually can be able to live life on your terms? Because I can tell you that last year when Max was an infant, Jason was gone Monday through Friday. The last thing I wanted to do was to host a mixer on a Saturday morning, ship Max over to my parents' house, and have a house full of people on a Saturday when that was one of our only days as a family. But you know what that brought us to? Jason's home every single day now. So think past the right now where your blinders are of, oh, it's so hard. It's a school night. My kids have school. As a teacher, yes, it sucks when kids come to school and they haven't had sleep, but it's okay. It's one day. They'll survive.
They'll bounce back.
Sense you spark for your child's teacher, and they'll thank you.
Yeah.
And they'll probably understand why they're not sleeping. But think past that. Think why you're doing AdvoCare and remember your purpose. It's really, really easy, and I saw it a lot on homework. Oh, I couldn't host a mixer because this, and this. I couldn't have a mixer. I couldn't go to a mixer because this, and this. If you want it bad enough, you will find a way to do it.
Frank and Serena did a great job with this. All the kids were able, it was a beautiful day outside. And they were all able to stay out in the backyard. We've had a lot of people, they'll bless their next door neighbor that's 15 years old and say, hey, $20, keep these kids entertained in my basement. So there are different options. So know that reasonably there's a way to work with it, and it is, I mean, sometimes it can be very distracting, especially if you're like mid-sentence and everybody vacates the room to go chase after children. So just be very mindful of it, but do know that if a solution needs to be worked out, that there's something that we can do to help mitigate the situation. But to kind of go off with what Megan was saying also, I think oftentimes it becomes very easy to allow your purpose for why you're building Advocare to be the reason why you're not building your Advocare business. And what I mean by that is Megan and Jason were fighting for time with Max. Rob and I were fighting for time with each other and dinners together. And I can remember there were times when I would be irritated that I needed to schedule a 3-way phone call during dinner time with Rob, because that's what I wanted, was dinner time with him. But now, because I made those sacrifices, and maybe one dinner time I had to get up and excuse myself from the dinner table so I could take this call, I now not only have dinner every day with Rob, but I get lunch and I get breakfast too. So don't allow your purpose, the reason what brought you into this business, to now be your excuse for not doing it. You know, and I recognize that sacrifices are gonna have to be made, but I can tell you that the pain of discipline is far less than the pain of regret of not getting to an event, or not taking the 3-way phone call, or not hosting your own mixer. Because the truth is those are all those things that you don't want to do right now, right in that moment, are everything that you need to do to be able to reach freedom, whatever that is for you and your family in the future. So don't allow your purpose to become your excuse, because it's easy to do that.
How are we doing on time? Are we good?
We're at an hour and a half. We're about to go into the leadership, so we could always start with leadership.
Yeah,
There.
we'll stop there. Do we have one on homework?
Yeah, it's the very last one.
So we'll get to the homework.
So touching on the homework, thank you to those of you that are sending it, and we are reading them and everything, but it's not for us. Your homework is not for us. It's really not doing anything for the 4 of us. I mean, let's be really honest. Who is the homework for? It's for you. So when the excuses start rolling in, it's not hurting us. It's only hurting you. So when we say we're assigning homework, it's really for you to be building that accountability for yourself, to start having that self-discipline, so that in 3 weeks, when we're not seeing you every week anymore, you're still taking those notes. And I was just talking with Rudy earlier about the notes that he was taking about his one-on-ones, and he said, "Here, do you want these?" And I said, "No, these are for you, because maybe these people right now are a no, but they're going to come back to you in January after the holidays and say, 'I remember when you talked to me,' and then you're sitting there and you're like, 'I talked to you? I don't remember.'" So get in the habit of taking those notes. Also a reason to not do 3-ways in the car. You can't take notes. Take those notes. These are for you, not for us. We're holding you accountable. Yes, we'll reward you at the end for doing your homework. Because that's the teacher.
Yes.
Yes.
Do we make it?
Mm-hmm.
Do we make it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to bump it up. Last week was 3. This week is 5. Now, I feel like we have to make some disclaimers on the homework about the success system. Obviously, let's get this out there right now. There is no Success School or Advonation between today and next Wednesday.
Nope.
You cannot cross that box off. But what you can do is, as you get to that point, you can start talking to those people about it. You can invite them to the next big event. There's a men's event and ladies event coming up here in Denver in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay, there's probably not a big event, at least in the Denver area, between today and next Wednesday. So you're probably not going to be able to check that off either. But if you invite them to it, make note of that. That way, as you get closer, you can say, "Hey, remember that ladies' night I told you about? I'm going to come pick you up and we're going to go," like Kayla was saying. Invite them. So there's ways that you can get around this. We know that they're not happening every day. We understand that, but that's not the point. The point is for you to be constantly thinking and inviting. Does that help clarify? We have a lot of questions on that. The other one is mixers. If you are not getting to mixers at least bi-weekly or hosting mixers bi-weekly, so twice a month, your business is
it's gonna get stagnant, and I can tell you that because it's happening to us right now. We were so good from January through August of hosting mixers every other week, and our business was exploding. Football started and we backed off. We have been at a standstill since. But you know what?
Fight the fight, Jason.
Football it's became an excuse for us. Well, we can't make it to Thursday night mixers because Jason has football and I have Max. Okay, yes, it's hard to leave them, but you know what? We could be finding other ways. So we are using it as an excuse. It's a crutch, and it's not okay. So we're being open and honest with you right now that we've hit a stale point. We're not growing.
And we're fighting that too. I mean, it's adversity, and we're trying to fight through it. Just like you guys are facing adversity with maybe not getting somebody on the three-way call or not knowing who to talk to. So just know that, you know, it doesn't get any easier. You just get better.
And one thing I want to share too with the homework specifically is it's a great system that we've set up to help you guys hold yourselves accountable. But I want you to recognize too that if you are doing things that are different in your pay period, maybe it's just I made a conscious effort just to share my story with a stranger. I want you to include that in your homework because that's a big step for a lot of people. And I think that it's really important that you take the moment to congratulate yourself just on doing something different. We know that our business and everything that we've done today has been based around the success system, but it's also been based on just some kind of daily effort, whether it was getting somebody through the success system or it wasn't. And so I want you guys to make note of those too, because I know when it came to homework for me, I take that kind of stuff to heart, and there's something that I don't like to do, and that's to feel like I've let people down. And if you're emailing your homework to us and you feel like, oh my gosh, I bet that Megan and Jason are going to read this and I've really let them down, I want you to know that you haven't let any of us down, but I want you to know that you deserve all your little victories that you're having throughout this next week. Make note of them. You know, it was so neat. I got the coolest text message from Sharon. Oh my gosh, Kayla, I was at American Furniture Warehouse. I had my colors on and I shared my story how many times? 5.
Nice.
What's neat about that is that she was able to get that person through the success system, got him on the phone with Rob, but the other person, we haven't gotten a call done yet, but you know what? We celebrated that she shared her story, and that is important too. Because I can tell you 5 people through the success system, brand new, is going to be difficult. You're going to need to talk to a lot of people, and you can do it because that's what it's going to take to be successful in AdvoCare. But recognize too all the little things that you are doing too, because that deserves to be recognized. So include that on your homework because we want to celebrate that. And let us know as you're having those moments, text us because we want to celebrate with you. That's really what we're here for. Homework is not supposed to be daunting. It's not supposed to be intimidating. This is really something that we want to do so that we can celebrate you, and hopefully at the end of Silver School, we can look back on your homework and see, look what you did. You didn't think you could do it, but look what you did. And that's so important. So make note of that stuff on your homework too when you send it in to us.
And one more thing on the homework. What we're trying to do, Charlie Regas says this on Notes on Success, and if you haven't had a chance to listen to Notes on Success, I highly recommend you do it. But what he says on Notes on Success is that when you start doing something consistently, you create momentum. And when you create momentum, you'll just be able to just take that momentum. It'll just take you and you can just ride that wave right into gold or even to ruby, whatever it may be. But if you have to start that consistency now. So those people that you talked to last week that you weren't able to get on the phone, guess what? You can go back to them and talk to them again. Follow back up with them. And if you're still continually talking to new people, eventually we'll be done. It'll be after Success School or Silver School, sorry. And you're gonna have so many people, and you're gonna be putting us to work, and it's just gonna go for you. So right now, just think of yourself as you're gaining that momentum. You're getting things rolling. You're getting things started. So if you stop, it stops your momentum. So don't stop sharing. Just keep sharing.
Even if you're sharing, like I know Rudy had a lot of one-on-one, like I shared my story with this person. Well, he wrote it down. That's the start of the success system. He shared his story.
One-on-one.
You have to start somewhere. So don't, like Kayla said, don't look at it and be intimidated and overwhelmed with like, I can't do this, so I'm just not going to. But 5, share your story with 5 people. If you go to Target, you can share with 5 people.
Just walk by the baby
Walk
section.
through the baby section. Those moms are begging for a conversation.
If you see one of those there, just keep going. Put the magnet out. Because that's what we do. Just sit there by the cribs. Like,
I can't tell you how many times we've shared our story at Target in the baby section. Like something about those.
I need something to do.
You need an adult outlet. You go to Target.
Is it stalkerish if we hang out in the baby aisle and you have the babies?
no, just keep
You want to borrow
Borrow
that?
mats for an afternoon.
and just pretend you're like gonna buy it for somebody.
There you go. You can. She has 2. You can borrow one of hers. Great.
So I think also with the homework, I think we're part of the homework is to get your Advo-Nation ticket, right? So get your Advo-Nation ticket.
How many
So
of
make
you already
sure-
have it?
Yes. If you don't have it, your homework is to get it by next week.
And get it seriously. Denver's really gonna sell out.
It really is. So get it.
Get it.
So we got 5 people through the success system.
Started.
Host a mixer
Or attend.
or attend. Host a mixer.
Or at least get it scheduled.
Yes, schedule, host one, get to one, do all 3 if you can, and then get your Advo-Nation ticket all by next Wednesday.
We have to do one shout out because we had somebody who qualified silver today. She's not in this room, but Miss Amber Woolsey, she is in Kansas, and she has been working her little tail off and qualified silver.
She already qualified, so yeah.
Okay, so this is really fun. Have you guys seen Dirty Dancing? Or not Dirty, Pretty Woman? Yes. Okay, so you know when she's at the racetrack, do you want to know?
That's awesome.
Sorry, All right, guys, thank you so
Thank you
much.
guys
We'll be
so
here
much.
if you have any questions.
Thank you. We just ask you again with the noise. That's all. Sorry.